We'll be starting momentarily. Please take a moment to let me know that you can hear me in the chat, please. Cinnamon, thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. That's great. Hey, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. And I definitely want to give you a huge shout out for the mega donation you made to Delilah's GoFundMe. Thank you, Thomas. We'll get started in about 1 minute to give the last few people that want to join us a chance to jump in. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. June, you said that you don't hear any sound. Do you hear sound now? Because I am getting confirmation from others that they can hear me. So hopefully you can hear me too, June, as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and dive in. Delilah, you're behind the scenes backstage. I'm going to rely on you to watch the chats. And if someone says that they can't hear me, especially if it's multiple people, definitely get my attention, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. I want to welcome everyone to part 2 of White Privilege as a Weapon, a warning for Black women in toxic interracial friendships. I am your host, Jackie Abram. I am one of the international best-selling and award-winning authors of Hush Money, How One Woman Proved Systemic Racism in Her Workplace and Kept Her Job. I am so thrilled that you've come back on another Saturday morning to finish hearing about the horrific story involving my daughter, Delilah. But first, I am going to take just a moment to and briefly introduce myself. So, as I said, I am one of the authors of Hush Money. Hush Money is a #1 bestseller. It's #1 on Goodreads for best eye-opening African American women's fiction. #1 on Goodreads for about 4 other categories. It's the recipient of the gold medal for social issues novels. It is a 5-star rated book that we self-published. Right now, we have about 439 reviews with a 5-star rating. It is a powerful book because it is the only book that exists that actually lays out the strategy that I used repeatedly to take down racist organizations. I've actually taken down about 6 for myself, and then I've and then I've helped other people do the same thing. And this is the book that outlines the strategy that I repeatedly used throughout my career. Because of how powerful Hush Money is, I have been featured in Forbes. I have also been on ABC News in partnership with Mark Talley, and the book I helped him wrote, 514, The Day the Devil Came to Buffalo, about the racist massacre that occurred at the grocery store in which his 62-year-old mother was shot in the head twice while she shopped in the grocery aisle by an 18-year-old racist. Mark and I were also together on Spectrum News. In addition to all of that, I am a keynote speaker. So if you are needing a speaker for your upcoming event, do reach out to me. Some of my events have been sponsored by the NAACP. But of all the things that I have become on this journey that I really never expected to be on, had everything gone like it should in corporate America for me, I am now a workplace discrimination consultant, and I actually take on clients, employees who are dealing with racism in the workplace as we speak, dealing with other forms of discrimination. And I actually get in the mud with them and I help them fight back. I am exceptional at it. And I do a lot of the things you can't get from an attorney. So if you are in a toxic workplace right now, you are dealing with racism, you are dealing with any form of discrimination, reach out to me. I will schedule a consultation with you to discuss your situation and see whether or not I am a good fit for helping you fight back. My number is here. So, with that being said, now without further ado, I'm going to bring you part 2 of the story of my beautiful daughter, Delilah, a story that continues to serve as a stark reminder of just how fragile the bonds of friendship can be when white privilege becomes part of the equation. Just like before, at the end today, you will have an opportunity to meet Delilah and ask her any questions that you may have. If there is anyone who thinks they're going to gaslight us, like Ian Anderson thought he was going to do, definitely bring that to my attention and I will block them faster than they can blink because not going to deal with it, not going to put up with it. So in part 1, we talked a lot about Delilah and Sarah and basically how they met. And we told you how immediately after Delilah met Sarah at her birthday party, that Sarah began love bombing Delilah and then frequently using her. Immediately after they met, there was this huge pattern of use and abuse that Sarah just instantly started putting into this friendship that she had with Delilah, as if she was entitled to use Delilah. One of the biggest ways that Sarah used her is in the area of financial support, which was, Delilah's money, her income, but also in getting free childcare for her daughter. because Sarah needed an overwhelming amount of childcare, but Sarah was also struggling financially. She didn't have any money. She was living in poverty. She was donating plasma to earn extra money. She was utilizing food stamps because although she was trying to be a big time celebrity, and she was getting performances in small bars and in between clothing racks at stores in the mall, it wasn't enough to pay her bills, and so she was able to qualify for SNAP benefits, for food stamps. And so when Delilah entered her life, Delilah's got a full-time job. She's earning 58,000 a year. Sarah decided that she was entitled to Delilah's income. And so she started draining Delilah of her resources. But she also found in Delilah someone that she could have take care of her daughter. And so she started pushing her daughter off. I mean, just so overwhelmingly frequently on Delilah. Who was going through a bitter divorce and trying to take care of her own son. Now, as you may recall, in part one, their friendship abruptly came to an end when Delilah started putting up some boundaries and limiting Sarah's ability to just push her daughter off on Delilah. So Sarah decided she would manipulate Delilah. She had a performance in Montana. They were going to be gone for 3 days. And instead of getting Delilah to agree to watch her daughter because Delilah was putting up boundaries at this point, Sarah left. She just left town and then decided she would trick Delilah after the fact and try to gaslight Delilah into thinking that Delilah had agreed to take care of her daughter and that Delilah would just forget about her job, forget about her son, and go do this. And Delilah didn't. She didn't allow Sarah to manipulate her that way, which ended up in this message. And so hopefully you can hear the sound that is coming from my presentation. Guys, remember, I'm still new to doing these live events. Okay, Delilah said she can't hear the sound coming from my presentation. Can someone who's listening confirm that you were able to hear the voice message that I just played from my presentation? Someone just put in the chat and let me know that you can hear that, please. Okay, Lori said she can't hear the sound coming from the presentation either. Oh, this is frustrating. Okay, guys, let me see if I can figure out why you can't hear the sound. Bear with me for 1 minute. Remember, I'm new to doing these live events, so just give me 1 minute. I'm going to see if I can figure it out, okay? Okay, I've changed a setting. Let's see if that fixes our problem. Hopefully it does. Give me 1 minute here. Okay, I'm going to play the sound from my presentation again, and please let me know if you're able to hear it this time. Okay. All right, guys, bear with me. Let me try one more thing. Okay. Okay, so someone says, I hear you, but not any message you played. Okay, very good. Let me check one more thing. Let me see if I can fix it another way. Bear with me, guys. Okay, it looks like my mic is active. Okay, let's see if there's anything like Zoom sometimes resharing enables. Okay, if this doesn't work, we may have to reschedule. I'm going to try one more time to see if we can get our sound on the presentation to work, because that's going to be important. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try one more thing here. Bear with me. Oh, I think I just figured it out.
Hey, I am like completely surprised that you haven't already been by there. Sky goes to bed at 9 o'clock. You were supposed to go there whenever you got off work. Sean hasn't heard anything from you. Like, once you got off work to come straight there. She doesn't take a bath or fucking when your son goes to bed. You know what I'm saying? This stresses me out, dude. Forget it.
Okay, I think that should have worked. Yes, I'm getting confirmation that it worked. Thank you, Jesus, because I really don't want to reschedule this. Yay. Thank you, Lori. Okay, so now we're back on track and you could hear the nest. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Lord. So we're back on track. And so you heard the nastygram that Sarah sent to Delilah in the form of a voice message. Yay! I'm so glad. In the form of a voice message after Delilah refused to let her manipulate her. All right, so let's continue. So at this point, Delilah began to realize Sarah was problematic. So, as you remember from the last time, she blocked her on Facebook so she could no longer interact with her. But that didn't stop Sarah. Sarah had one of her Facebook friends, a woman by the name of Brianna Mendiola, send a message to Delilah on Messenger.
This is super whack. And then you're going to post a status about someone, but block them so they can't see you drag their name through the mud for no reason. That's sh-y.
But Brianna actually took it one step further. And she sent Delilah another message, this time from Sarah, which allowed Sarah to not only harass Delilah, but to threaten her as well.
If you could send her this funny, then this. I was shocked when you blocked me because, unlike you, I actually considered you a friend. But to lie through your teeth and try to drag me through the dirt on effing Facebook when I haven't said a single bad thing about you is the most effed up thing you could do. I can't believe you would say some of the ish you have, let alone post it on a public forum. Completely unforgivable, and I want nothing to do with you. But I promise you this much. You ever say another effing word about me, I will be at your front door. Can't block me in real life. I know where you live and where you work. You will not talk ish about me, let alone because I was upset you didn't stick to your word.
Okay, so that gives you the background that we discussed in part one. And so at this point, what we're going to do is take it into the next part of the equation, and we're going to pick up the story right here. So after Delilah got their friendship going again, because she went back to Sarah after she had ended it the first time, and things were absolutely horrific for Delilah at that point. And so they ended up ending their friendship for good the second time on December 29th, 2020. And at that point, Delilah had permanently, or so she thought, freed herself from Sarah and their toxic friendship. So at this point, we're going to now pick up with part two and finish telling you the rest of the story.
On January 2nd, 2021, Delilah made a post on Facebook making it clear that she entered the new year feeling happy and content. I'm so freaking lucky for getting to spend the majority of my time with you. Every moment we get together is pure bliss. Never met someone that I can just laugh with for days on end. Literally no conflicts because your energy calms me completely. Sarah, on the other hand, made it clear that she had entered the new year feeling quite different. On January 2nd, 4 days after her friendship with Delilah ended, she made a post that appeared to draw an unsettling parallel between her friendship with Delilah and the friendship between Selena, the world-renowned recording artist, and Yolanda, her best friend who killed her. In Sarah's post, she said, "There's a difference in being a fan, being a supportive friend, and being obsessed in a very toxic way. Protect yourself at all costs because you have no idea what truly mentally ill people are capable of. That Yolanda energy always comes to light. The narcissist will smile when they're getting everything they want out of you, but pull the trigger the moment they aren't getting as much attention as you are. That's a red flag right there. You see them as your equal, they see you as a competitor. Toxic." And when Sarah received a comment celebrating her post, she responded, "She is too damn crazy. And no matter how much I want to love, forgive, and help people, you cannot help bad-ish crazy people who lie and manipulate. LOL. Had to cut her off before it led to this." On January 4th, 2021, Delilah continued embracing the brighter side of life, expressing that love was her greatest strength in her Facebook post. And when she became aware of Sarah's post about Selena and Yolanda 12 hours later, she harbored no ill will. Instead, she made a heartfelt post on Facebook stating, "I act tough and I am tough, but it breaks my heart losing a friend. I go through my ups and downs about it, but when I bond with someone, it's very strong. So when that gets thrown away, especially when it's over dumb stuff, it does hurt a lot. But I'm reminded that even if you want something, if it's not meant to work out, it will not." And in response to a comment made on her post, encouraging her to forget about Sarah, Delilah responded, she said, "I'm Yolanda to Selena for her." The rest of January was amazing for Delilah. On January 6th, the release date for the second book in her Hush Money series was announced. On January 13th, 2,891 people were reading Hush Money. On January 31st, she had another great date night with her high school sweetheart and was so happy. And to top everything off that happened that month, Delilah recorded her first original single and made a post on Facebook announcing the release date. With so many exciting things happening for Delilah, it was clear that she had moved on from Sarah. Sarah, on the other hand, had clearly not moved on from Delilah. And even though she had positive things happen in her life during the month of January too, she continued making unsettling posts on Facebook. In a post dated January 9th, she said, "Stay away from still people, still toxic, still spreading negativity, still not healing, still not growing, still not learning, still not taking accountability, still hating, still have no sense of direction, still complaining, and still not moving." And again, the points in her post better aligned with her own actions, for it was Sarah who was still doing all of these things. Delilah had clearly moved on. But Delilah's world would soon come crashing down around her. You see, Sarah was so consumed by bitterness towards Delilah for ending their friendship and cutting her out of being involved with her book Hush Money that she made a post on January 27th, 2021, just 29 days after their friendship ended, announcing that she had a stalker. And although Sarah didn't realize it at the time, her post was evidence of the premeditated plot to frame Delilah for stalking her, a hoax that would begin 4 months later using fabricated evidence, manipulated circumstances, and accomplices to aid and abet her, to make it appear that Delilah had committed a felony-level crime that Sarah knew she did not commit.
Okay, now at this point, I begin to suspect that maybe this wasn't the first time that Sarah had done something like this before, because she was just too brazen with how she carried it out. And so I begin to wonder, okay, is this stalking hoax, this illegal crime that Sarah is committing against my daughter, is this the first time she's done something like that? Or is there proof that Sarah had done something like this before? And so that's where we're going to pick up this next part of the story. So bear with me here for just a minute, and we'll get to that part. So, as I pondered whether or not Sarah had actually committed a second hoax or possibly even more, I found myself fixating on a GoFundMe campaign, a fundraiser that Sarah had created back in November 20, during the time frame where she was still friends with Delilah, but that she was also struggling financially because remember, she was using Delilah for so much financial support. And that's where we're going to pick up.
The GoFundMe was entitled Help Gittings Family. The description said, "Hello, I'm Kristen, friends of Sarah and David. Wednesday morning, Sarah and David woke up to find their car in flames. They are both musicians with 2 young children. They had everything in the car from their microphones and amps to their daughter's school stuff. Thankfully, and by a miracle, the flames didn't reach their living room where the daughter was sleeping. This is their work transportation, along with their livelihood equipment. I made this GoFundMe to help lighten their stress load and help them get a vehicle and the things they need to get back to playing their music as soon as possible. Please help in any way you can to help, even if it's just a share." The GoFundMe description was concerning to Delilah's mom for 2 reasons. One, it stated that they had everything in the car, from their microphones and amps to their daughter's school stuff. And 2, it stated that the car that was set on fire was their work transportation. Now, as you may recall, when Sarah and Delilah reinstated their friendship on August 2020, Sarah requested an enormous amount of money from Delilah and constantly requested her to drive both her and David to the locations where they performed, in addition to other places. Here's a reminder. On September 6th, Sarah asked Delilah for $20. Delilah sent it to her via Cash App. Then, Sarah asked Delilah if she could get away from work and take her to grab some food. Delilah took her during her lunch break. On September 9th, Sarah asked Delilah to let her work out at Planet Fitness for free as her guest because she owed a balance and couldn't use her own account, and to pick her up every night that Delilah worked out and take her to and from the gym. And of course, Delilah did. On September 14th, Sarah asked Delilah for $50. She sent it to her via Cash App. On September 20th, Sarah asked Delilah to take care of her daughter again, even though taking care of Sarah's daughter was the reason their friendship ended the first time. And Delilah did. On October 2nd, Sarah asked Delilah for $60 more. October 3rd, she asked for $40. October 6th, she asked for $25. October 15th, she asked for $120. And as Sarah's rent became due, on October 28th, she asked for $300. And each time, Sarah requested financial help from Delilah. Delilah graciously sent her the money she needed via Cash App. On October 16th, Sarah asked Delilah to not only go with her and her fiance to Cheyenne, Wyoming to film their performance, but to also let her fiance drive her car while Delilah paid for all the gas and all the food the entire trip. And, of course, Delilah did.
Video of this. Welcome back to Sarah's Shit Show.
Somehow, I don't know how, but we fucking made it.
We did! We didn't get murdered in the weird weather. We didn't get poisoned by the nasty food.
We didn't breathe in any air on the way here because there was ashes. We went to play it here, bloody play.
On October 31st, a mere 11 days before the car was set on fire, Sarah asked Delilah to drive both her and her fiancé to Studio A64 for Sarah's performance at the Halloween CBD slumber party and take them back home after she took them to her apartment to pick up her kids from Delilah's mom, who was taking care of them that night. And of course, Delilah did.
We did a video. I know what you need. Everybody gets up and I know you ain't no baby. Everything comes Sundays. Go crazy. I know what you need. Everybody gets up and I know.
Now, according to Sarah, the reason she needed so much financial help from Delilah was because they had fallen behind in their bills after David left his job with the rental car company. And the reason Sarah needed Delilah to drive her everywhere she needed to go, in addition to picking David up in the mornings before she went to work each day, taking him to his new job at the liquor store, and using her lunch break to pick him up later and take him home, was because he no longer had access to the rental cars that he was using to get to and from work, and their car. The car referenced in their GoFundMe wasn't operational, which is the reason they didn't drive it, nor have insurance coverage on it. This meant that the GoFundMe description stating that they used the car for work transportation was false. And since they didn't drive the car or have insurance on it, it stands to reason that the statement claiming that their music equipment and other items were in the car at the time of the fire was false too. At this point, Delilah's mom began to suspect that the fundraiser was another hoax, in addition to the stalking hoax that Sarah began planning 2 months later. Delilah's mom wanted to know if there were consequences to creating a fundraiser based on fictitious information, so she searched the internet for answers.
It was fictitious and illegal, and there are consequences.
New Jersey County prosecutors on Wednesday charged Johnny Bobbitt, Caitlin McClure, and Mark D'Amico with deceiving GoFundMe donors out of thousands of dollars.
D'Amico, McClure, and Bobbitt conspired to pass off a fake, feel-good story that would compel donors to contribute to their cause. And it worked.
As their story goes, Bobbitt, who was homeless, gave his last $20 to buy gas for McClure, who was stranded outside Philadelphia. They allegedly tried to pay back Bobbitt's act of kindness through a GoFundMe campaign. More than 14,000 donors contributed nearly $403,000 in a month. Prosecutors say D'Amico and McClure bought a BMW and, quote, hit the casinos hard, withdrawing more than $85,000 for trips to Las Vegas and Atlantic City.
Have you spent $1 of that $400,000 on yourselves?
No.
Nothing.
No.
You're representing that right here and right now. There's never going to be any proof that you did.
No.
Prosecutors say McClure sent a text message to a friend acknowledging the story was, quote, completely made up.
People giving to people is amazing, but these cases sort of highlight the risk.
Adrian Gonzalez runs a website called GoFraudMe, which tracks fake GoFundMe campaigns.
The question is, are the donors following up on these causes and knowing where their money actually goes?
Investigators say GoFundMe will reimburse donors who contributed to this campaign.
After discovering that creating GoFundMe campaigns based on fictitious information is illegal, Delilah's mom wanted more answers. So she searched the internet again and found numerous examples of car fires in driveways. Here is one such example.
Car incinerated and a family put at risk after a vehicle caught fire in a Lawrence driveway. But the suspicious fire doesn't have a definitive cause yet. News 8 Sierra Hignite spoke with the family who owns the vehicle about the scary experience. Sierra?
Yeah, it's the unknown surrounding the fire that's still haunting the family who woke up in the middle of the night to an inferno outside of their front door. Lindsay Gruca Verde was woken up around 3 o'clock Tuesday morning by an unusual glow outside of her home in the Greens at Winding Ridge neighborhood. Being at the middle of the night, she got up to investigate.
So I came to look out front just to see what was going on, and I could see that the car was on fire.
Seeing the flames rolling out of their family vehicle that was parked right in front of their house, she rushed to wake everyone up.
My 2-year-old daughter's life was put at risk regardless, just because of the fire, of the car being in the driveway so close to the house and everything.
The home is covered in surveillance cameras, but the one closest to the car was unplugged that night. One of their cameras caught a glimpse of the fire, but not until after it had already been burning for a few minutes.
Even if we can get just the beginning of the fire, whatever started it, to get answers.
Investigators are not calling the incident an arson, but they also haven't ruled it out.
In every instance of a car fire that Delilah's mom found on the internet, there were 3 common factors. 911 was called, there was news coverage of the car fire, and the police, and in many cases, the fire department arrived on scene. It was at this point that Delilah's mom decided to return to the beginning to re-examine the backstory. On November 11th, 2020, David Gittings, Sarah Nelson's fiance, tagged Sarah in a Facebook post he made at 5 a.m. that said,
"I woke up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw weird orange lights coming from my window. Turns out someone set our effing car on fire in our driveway. We don't have enemies like that, and everyone who knows us knows exactly how we're rocking, and we bend over backwards to spread love, positivity, and help those needing it almost daily. Cameras across the street next door, so believe me, this isn't effing over. Every mother effing homie I have is on call. Think ish sweet out here? I'ma show y'all how stupid you are for underestimating the ish I do for my family when in danger."
According to David's Facebook post, their car was set on fire in their driveway by a car arsonist. He also said that there were cameras across the street and next door. After reviewing David's Facebook post, Delilah's mom reviewed the post Sarah made on Facebook on November 13th, 2020. "I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who went out of their way to check on us, donate, or even just share our GoFundMe. You guys are freaking amazing. I still don't understand why they did this, but justice will be served regardless. Since Sky was so close to the fire, one of their charges will be attempted manslaughter." Now, Delilah's mom knew that local news stations were notified of significant incidents and emergencies through an emergency alert system and notifications
after the 911 call is made. And since a car fire has the potential to result in an explosion, harming the residents and neighbors nearby, she knew this story was newsworthy and would be covered by the media if a 911 call had been made and the car arson was reported to police. And since Sarah and David were both in agreement that the car fire was set by an arsonist, and Sarah also said that it would be considered attempted manslaughter, there would be no reason not to call 911 to alert the police so that it could be investigated. But when Delilah's mom checked for news coverage by local news stations and the internet as a whole, there was no news coverage of the car arson that Sarah and David claimed had occurred. And it appeared that the fundraiser was a hoax executed just 2 months prior to the date Sarah began planning the stalking hoax to frame her daughter. The GoFundMe raised over $1,600 in donations from 25 people who donated, with a significant contribution of $300 that came from Delilah's mom. And now she wants answers from law enforcement. Was 911 called? Why are there no news reports of the car arson? Was the fire investigated? Who put out the fire? Where's the car now? Why is the fundraiser still active as of today? Was the car registration and insurance up to date at the time of the fire? Did the neighbors' cameras capture anything? Are there any known suspects? And now for the conclusion of our docuseries, so the real work in getting justice for Delilah can begin. But first, here's a reminder of what happened in the previous episode. As you may recall, Delilah ended her friendship with Sarah on December 29, 2020, and completely moved on. But after a series of posts that focused on staying away from toxic people and appeared to point to Delilah, on January 27, 2021, just 29 days after their friendship ended, Sarah announced that she had a stalker. And although Sarah didn't realize it at the time, her post would become a crucial piece of evidence of the premeditated plot to frame Delilah as her stalker 4 months later. Now, Delilah had been volunteering at the Chinook Center since November 15, 2020. And because of the friendship she developed with Sean Walls during that time, he graciously gave her the Chinook Center to use for her book signing event to officially launch Hush Money after the event that Sarah scheduled at Design Your Life was canceled due to COVID 3 months prior. Delilah's mom had taken over as the spokesperson for Hush Money, per Delilah's request, and was excited about the book signing event. But on March 19th, one day before it was scheduled to begin, Sean Walls called her and informed her that he had a problem. He had accidentally double booked their event with another event, a fundraiser for the Southern Colorado Juneteenth Festival hosted by One Body ENT. Sean felt bad and asked if she would be willing to do a joint event with One Body. And even though she had never heard of One Body, she agreed because it was too late to cancel their book signing event. Moments later, she drove to the Chinook Center to meet Sean in person for the very first time and DeAndre Smith, the co-founder of One Body ENT. Soon after she arrived, what started out as a potential problem turned into a blessing in disguise. You see, when Delilah's mom mentioned that she attended Helen Hunt Elementary, lived on the south side on the corner of Los Animas and Institute her entire childhood life. Many of her cousins lived in Kingland, and that her stepfather, the only father she'd ever known, was Howard Richardson, the younger brother of her uncle, Joe Richardson, and that her first cousins were the Exons. DeAndre realized that they were family, they were related, and was equally as thrilled as she was. Seconds later, Delilah's mom, DeAndre Smith, and Sean Walls were hugging and talking like they had known each other forever. It was a very special day. The next day, the jam session book signing event was held, and it was an overwhelming success. Delilah was on cloud nine as she met with influential relatives she never knew she had, smiled so much her cheeks hurt with her high school sweetheart by her side, and met other influential people doing amazing things in the community. Delilah's heart overflowed as she took it all in, feeling an undeniable sense of belonging. And when DeAndre discovered that Delilah loved to sing as the event ended, he called out to her and said, "Your mom said you can sing. Get on the stage and show us what you got." Delilah excitedly got on stage and sang as Jamond played the keyboard for her. Everyone thought she had a great voice, so she offered to send them one of her videos to consider and was thrilled about the possibility of performing at the Juneteenth festival. But she also knew that even if she wasn't selected to perform, she would be just as happy volunteering to help because helping people brought her immense joy. That night, Delilah shared the post her mom made to her Facebook page, which stated, "Thank you so much to my cousin and state representative Tony Exum Sr., my dear friend and candidate for City Council District 4, Regina Guy English, my incredible cousin DeAndre Smith, One Body ENT, and many, many others for making my book signing event an overwhelming success." Now, as Delilah's mom dug deeper, she discovered proof that Sarah knew exactly who both DeAndre Smith and One Body ENT were, because she had performed at an event presented by One Body ENT 4 years ago on August 12, 2017. And as you may recall, Delilah harbored no ill will towards Sarah when their friendship ended and chose not to block her on Facebook. And so, we believe that when Sarah saw Delilah's Facebook post on March 20th and realized that she was related to DeAndre Smith, her radar went up because she knew Delilah loved to sing and had talent, and that DeAndre could help her grow as a performer. On March 30th, 2021, Delilah made a post on Facebook tagging DeAndre and Jamond on a video of her singing as she said she would at the book signing jam session event. Now, we believe that when Sarah saw Delilah's post tagging DeAndre on her singing video, it didn't take a rocket scientist for Sarah to figure out that Delilah was sending him a video of her singing because she wanted to perform at the Juneteenth festival. Delilah made her post at 10:07 a.m. It is also our belief that Sarah contacted DeAndre and provided him with her music video performing with her fiancé 11 minutes later at 10:21 a.m. Because on April 2nd, 2021, just 2 days after Delilah provided DeAndre with her singing video, Sarah announced that both she and her fiancé were not only selected to perform at the Juneteenth Festival, but that they were also appointed to serve on the Juneteenth Festival Committee and given the power, influence, and authority to determine which local artist would be selected to perform with them, thus killing any chance Delilah had of being selected to perform. Delilah's cousin DeAndre didn't find it suspicious that Sarah re-entered his life immediately after Delilah did, and entrusted her with the keys to his kingdom. But Delilah's mom knew that the woman who now wielded the power, influence, and authority of One Body ENT was this Sarah Nelson.
She did not. No, she fucking did not just give me secondhand embarrassment, bitch. If your toes look like they're throwing up gang signs and like you've never used lotion in your entire fucking life and you have the audacity to post these hoes, don't talk to me. Don't talk about me. Bitch, don't fucking breathe next to me with your crusty crab having ass.
After Sarah sabotaged Delilah's chances of performing at Juneteenth, she relocated from Colorado Springs to Aurora to get away from Sarah and to be closer to her high school sweetheart. And she continued to be blessed. During the month of April, she started her own podcast, created a signature fragrance for her Hush Money brand, and received a special invitation from her cousin DeAndre to attend his birthday party at Club Tilt with her mom to meet more family members and friends, as well as showcase her artwork and Hush Money books. And even hosted a fundraising party to support the Chinook Center and their outstanding community work. May started out being another month full of blessings. Delilah was still volunteering at the Chinook Center, even though she now lived in Aurora. Her cousin DeAndre introduced her to Dwayne Long, who gave her an opportunity to perform at Club Tilt. And best of all, Eric and Delilah officially became a couple. But on the day before Delilah was scheduled to perform at Club Tilt, she discovered that Sarah had forced a few people who were friends with both of them on Facebook to unfriend her, the same way Sarah forced Delilah to unfriend people on Facebook that she didn't approve of. Sarah knew that Delilah suffered from abandonment issues resulting from the trauma she experienced, and that the deleting of her would affect her mentally. And Delilah couldn't help but wonder if the timing of Sarah's directive to unfriend her was an attempt to sabotage her performance the next day. In a Facebook post dated May 21st, Delilah said, "I was going to avoid doing this, but I'm over it. If you're friends with Sarah Nelson or David Gittings, and I told you of their abuse towards me and you still decided to be her friend, delete me. She's already forced a few people to delete me after realizing I was friends with them too. I honestly just need to remove this connection from my life completely." And even though her post had 23 comments filled with people confirming that Sarah did the same thing to them or just showing their love and support, Delilah was deeply disturbed by the fact that Sarah was now targeting her. On the night of May 22nd, Delilah made her debut as a public performer, and she was pleased with her first performance. She was also thankful that Sean Walls was there. Not only did he provide her with support, but he also took pictures of her performance to commemorate the occasion, which truly made her day. The month of June began just like every other month had, full of blessings. On June 2nd, Delilah made a Facebook post announcing that she and Eric were going on vacation for 9 whopping days to California with her son. Mom announced that their book Hush Money was featured in Yahoo News. But it was on June 7th when Delilah's mom announced that their book Hush Money was #1 in Best Eye-Opening African American Women's Fiction on Goodreads Listopia that Delilah really felt like she had it all. This was a huge accomplishment for Delilah, her sister, and her mom. But on June 8th, 2021, one day after the big announcement that Hush Money was ranked #1 on Goodreads Listopia, Delilah received 2 messages. The first pieces of fabricated evidence from Sarah and her friend Prissy Missy that put Sarah's premeditated plot to frame Delilah for stalking her into action, to make it appear that Delilah had committed a felony-level crime that Sarah knew she didn't commit. We'll break down the elements of each message momentarily, but first, we'll determine her motive for framing Delilah as her stalker. Sarah's motive for framing Delilah as her stalker was rooted in a quest for revenge. You see, when Delilah ended their friendship, Sarah's ability to continue using Delilah for financial support, transportation, and free childcare ended too. But Sarah was also jealous of the attention Delilah was receiving as the author of Hush Money and the success her new book was achieving. By framing Delilah of felony stalking, we believe Sarah hoped to take away Delilah's freedom, thus taking away Delilah's access to the same resources that Sarah no longer had access to, while at the same time tarnishing her reputation and character to negatively impact the success of her book. The message Sarah sent to Delilah on June 8, 2021 said, "Please do not try to contact me, speak about me, or continue showing up to my events or places you know I'm going to be. Please, Delilah, after all the things you have said and done and made up about me, and after trying to poison me with mugwort, I don't trust that my family are safe around you. Please stay away from us. I stopped talking to you 6 months ago and want nothing more than for you to just leave me alone. I don't try to harm you, post about you, or go where you are, so please stop trying to do that with me." Based on several factors, including Sarah's history with Delilah, the evidence we've uncovered, and Sarah's motive and actions, it is clear that the message Sarah sent to Delilah on June 8, 2021 was fabricated to make it appear that Delilah was stalking her. We'll break this down into several categories: false accusations, appeal to fear and safety, projection of behavior, and request to stay away. First, we'll start with false accusations. In Sarah's message, she accused Delilah of trying to poison her with mugwort. Let's break this down. Delilah met Sarah on June 6, 2019, and discovered that she sold and used shrooms. But shrooms didn't give Sarah the lucid dream she wanted to experience. So, to help her best friend, Delilah did some research and discovered that an herb called mugwort could help because it was considered the simplest method of all to induce lucid dreams. She placed an order on Amazon for a Ripple Stream mugwort herb, which shipped on October 5th, 2019. And when Delilah received it, she gave it to Sarah on Tuesday, October 8th, 2019, when she visited her during her lunch break. If Sarah truly believed that Delilah tried to poison her with the mugwort she ordered from Amazon, and that her family wasn't safe around her, why would Sarah ask Delilah to take care of her daughter a couple of weeks later on October 20th, 2019, and try to manipulate her into taking care of her daughter again against Delilah's will for a 3-day period in November 2019 while Sarah was out of town? As a reminder, here's the voice message Sarah sent Delilah on November 19, 2019 that led to the ending of their friendship the first time.
"Hey, I am completely surprised that you haven't already been by there. Sky goes to bed at 9 o'clock. You were supposed to go there whenever you got off work. Sean hasn't heard anything from you. Once you got off work, to come straight there. She doesn't take a bath when your son goes to bed. You know what I'm saying? This stresses me out, dude. Forget it."
And after Delilah blocked Sarah on November 20th, 2019, Sarah had her Facebook friend, Brianna Mendiola, send Delilah a message from Sarah stating, I never asked or told you to make my daughter a priority, just to give her a bath after you got off work, not 10 o'clock at night. Sarah continued leaving her daughter, and in some cases her son, in Delilah's care. On September 20th, Sarah asked Delilah to take care of her daughter again, even though taking care of Sarah's daughter frequently was the reason their friendship ended the first time. On October 31st, after Delilah had worked a full-time job all week, Sarah asked Delilah to watch her daughter and her son during the day on her day off. And she asked Delilah to watch her daughter again on November 14th, 2020. So Sarah continued to ask Delilah to take care of her children up to the point where their friendship ended on December 29th, 2020. Based on this evidence, it is clear that Sarah's accusation that Delilah attempted to poison her in her message to Delilah on June 8, 2021, was a deliberate attempt to make Delilah appear dangerous and harmful, to create a narrative that supported the premeditated plot to frame Delilah as her stalker that she began planning 4 months prior on January 27, 2021. Sarah sent her message to Delilah on June 8, 2021, just 10 days prior to the start of the Colorado Springs Juneteenth Festival. Because Sarah and her fiancé were responsible for the performance showcase, we believe Sarah knew that Delilah's cousin DeAndre needed her at this point and couldn't do Juneteenth without her so close to the event. And although Sarah had successfully sabotaged Delilah's chances of performing at the Juneteenth Festival, Sarah knew Delilah well enough to know that she would volunteer to help with Juneteenth, especially because of the bond she had established with her cousin DeAndre, his wife Jennifer, and Sean Walls of the Chinook Center, a place that she had been volunteering at since November 15th, 2020. In the interview Sarah gave to the Strictly Stalking podcast, she explained what she did after she sent the message to Delilah.
She reached out to a particular nonprofit that I was volunteering for and tried to volunteer for them at the same time. I finally had to be vocal, which I don't like to do. I don't like to involve people in my drama, especially people that I work with. You're supposed to leave your personal life outside of your work life. So I never like to be that person. But I felt like in that moment, I had to. And the reaching out to trying to volunteer on the same day as me, I finally had to tell them, like, hey, this is what's going on. And I can't be here if she's going to be coming here. And they ended up having my back, and they did not allow her to come back there.
In Sarah's interview with the Strictly Stalking podcast, she said that she had been volunteering at a nonprofit that Delilah was trying to volunteer at. Now, as a reminder, Delilah started volunteering at the Chinook Center on November 15th, 2020. And Sarah didn't start volunteering at the Chinook Center, the place where Delilah's cousin DeAndre and One Body ENT held their meetings, until after Delilah came into DeAndre's life, and Sarah was then appointed to serve on the Juneteenth committee in April 2021, which was 5 months after Delilah had been volunteering there. So Sarah's well-timed message that we believed she presented as proof, along with the message from her friend Prissy Missy corroborating her story, manipulated DeAndre and Sean Walls into believing that Sarah feared for her safety and that Delilah was a threat, and not only destroyed Delilah's ability to continue volunteering at the Chinook Center and killed any chance she had of volunteering at Juneteenth, but also destroyed her relationship with her cousin DeAndre, his wife Jennifer, and Sean Walls, someone she thought of as a brother. because they traded her love, kindness, and giving nature for this Sarah Nelson.
Eat my pussy like a natural.
Get up. Get up. We got stuff to do. Get out of bed.
She did not. No, she fucking did not just give me secondhand embarrassment, bitch. If your toes look like they're throwing up gang signs and like you've never used lotion in your entire fucking life and you have the audacity to post these hoes, don't talk to me. Don't talk about me. Bitch, don't fucking breathe next to me with your crusty crab having ass.
On Thanksgiving, some people bake pies. We bake ourselves.
Hey, fuck anything sensual.
And just to clear the air, I don't give a fuck about how nobody feel about me. Keep feeling it, bitch.
In Sarah's message to Delilah on June 8, 2021, she claimed that Delilah was doing the very things that Sarah herself was doing, for it was Sarah who was harming Delilah, manipulating people into abandoning her to damage Delilah's mental health, making posts to manipulate people into believing that Delilah was toxic to damage her reputation, infiltrating the places Delilah was going and forcing Delilah out, and killing any opportunities that came Delilah's way for growth. This projection was Sarah's attempt to divert attention away from her own stalkerish behavior and frame Delilah as the stalker. And the repeated plea for Delilah to stay away from her was her attempt to establish a pattern of unwanted contact to make it appear that Delilah was initiating it, even though Sarah was the one going to places she knew Delilah would be. An hour later, Delilah received a message from Sarah's friend, Prissy Missy, which stated, "Hello, I'm concerned why you feel the need to continue to contact and stalk Sarah. All of the posted screenshots I see clearly reflect you're unstable. As a concerned friend, I'm done. I've offered to pay for an attorney that I've already contacted. I've dealt with male stalkers before, and it's unsettling and unsafe. And this is crazy. Are you a grown-ass woman and a mom? Think of your child employer reputation record. Do not make me start contacting your employer, friends, mom, etc. Because I'll tell and show the world, boo, all I got is time and money to do so. You'll be served with a restraining order soon enough. Leave her alone." Now, it is our belief that Sarah's friend Prissy Missy was aware of Sarah's intentions to falsely accuse Delilah of stalking and actively assisted in furthering the false narrative by creating another piece of fabricated evidence to add strength to Sarah's claims. On June 8, 2021, at 12:34 p.m., Delilah responded to Sarah's message stating, "Sarah, I'm a grown-ass woman. Do not contact me again. I don't want to hear from you or see you or hear from your friends or anything. Whatever I do is my business, not yours. And if I need to get a lawyer against you for all this, I will, because I still have this screenshot and text from the past when you tried to threaten me before. I can do whatever the F I want because it has nothing to do with you. I've moved on in my life and I'm very happy without you. Take care." Delilah also made a post on Facebook stating, "So Sarah Nelson and David Giddings are spreading a rumor that I'm stalking them and having their friends contact me. One of them, Prissy Missy, is in my inbox now and currently making threats at me. So everyone knows I'm not stalking Sarah or David. I've moved out of the city and have no desire to have any contact with them in any way. In fact, I gave up a chance to help out with the Juneteenth festival coming up because I knew that they would be performing there. I want nothing nothing to do with them. I will also mention that in the past, both Sarah and David have threatened to send people to hurt me due to us having a fallout, so this is very concerning to me. Anyone who is friends with them still and friends with me is telling them info about my life needs to stop. After Delilah responded to Prissy Missy and told her not to contact her again, she messaged her mom and sister and told them what was going on, stating that it was crazy because she had not said a word to Sarah or been in any place she was at since they stopped being friends. Although Delilah didn't realize it at the time, she was experiencing trauma from Sarah's unrelenting attacks. And the woman who had radiated love and joy after freeing herself from Sarah's evil grasp was beginning to spiral into despair, desperately holding on to her faith to get her through the darkness. In a Facebook post Delilah made just 2 days after Sarah began framing her, she said, "Today, while I was in the shower, I started bawling my eyes out because I felt like I keep making mistakes, and I have so much anger sometimes, and I don't get out of bed early enough some days, and I'm not motivated enough, and just everything that I'm trying to improve on, I just felt it all hit me all at once, and I felt ashamed of it. I can't seem to do things in the right way. And during my breakdown, I apologized to God for being such a failure. And I was comforted and told I am loved. To which I replied, why when I'm so weak? And I was reminded that in my weakness, God gives me strength, and that I am loved because I am His, and I am not a failure. You cannot fail if you keep trying." I recorded part of this emotional experience, but deleted it. But I still wanted to share it. Sarah, on the other hand, was quickly going from rags to riches after effectively forcing Delilah out of her way. Yes, gone were the days of donating plasma, selling shrooms, acid, and other things law enforcement will certainly want to know more about, and creating fake fundraisers to get extra money. You see, after Delilah's cousin DeAndre embraced Sarah and gave her the power, influence, and authority of One Body ENT, Sarah was living the life she always wanted. In June 2021, she and her fiancé performed at the Colorado Springs Juneteenth Festival as the people who were once in Delilah's circle of support cheered them on. In July 2021, they opened for Coolio, may he rest in peace, and performed in front of thousands of people. And in August 2021, they bought a new Tacoma truck. Yes, things were going better than ever for Sarah, and it seemed as though she had finally moved on from wanting to get her revenge on Delilah and frame her for stalking. Delilah was doing her best to move on too, after Sarah destroyed her reputation, relationships, and opportunities in Colorado Springs as she attempted to destroy her life. On June 11, 2021, Delilah flew to California with Eric and her son and spent 9 glorious days immersing herself in the serenity of the coastline, allowing the salty breeze to cleanse not just her body, but also her spirit. The trip to California marked the beginning of Delilah's healing journey, a symbolic washing away of the pain that threatened to consume her. And when she boarded the plane to return home, she had a newfound strength to put Sarah and the damage she caused behind her. In a Facebook post dated July 5th, Delilah said, "I'm done looking at someone else's social media who doesn't matter to me. All it does is trigger me. I will not be petty. I will not have hate in my heart. I am moving on. I forgive you, and that's it. Your names will no longer cross my lips, nor will I wish anything but good things for your future. The month of August was full of blessings for Delilah. Her book, Hush Money, How One Woman Proved Systemic Racism in Her Workplace and Kept Her Job, reached a milestone, achieving 100 reviews on Amazon with a 5-star rating. She officially launched her business, Blessed Alchemy, in a private Facebook group, a place where Delilah was safe from Sarah's prying eyes and free to openly express her thoughts, emotions, and creative endeavors. And as for her relationship with Eric, it deepened, and Delilah's heart overflowed with faith and thankfulness to God. And by August 18th, 2021, Delilah was feeling like herself again. During the month of September, Delilah didn't post much publicly on Facebook because she was posting privately in her Blessed Alchemy group. And because Sarah couldn't see what Delilah was posting, we believe that she began watching Delilah's mom's Facebook posts to get intel. We also believe that when Sarah saw the post Delilah's mom made on September 15th, 2021, announcing that Hush Money won the gold medal in the 2021 Reader's Favorite International Social Issue genre and was now an award-winning book, and the post she made on September 16th announcing that Delilah was nominated as a Black creative in Colorado Springs for the People's Choice Golden Ticket Awards, Sarah was triggered by Delilah's success. And since using her friends Brianna Mendiola and Prissy Missy against Delilah worked so well in the past, she brought in another friend to aid and abet her, a friend by the name of Cruz Carlton, someone that Sarah had known since 2016 and referred to as her Nika and her Boo, to infiltrate Delilah's private group and gather information for Sarah. On September 17th, 2021, Cruz Carlton requested to join Delilah's private Facebook group, Blessed Alchemy. And because he indicated that he was a healer with spiritual gifts, and Delilah was unaware that he was a friend of Sarah's, she approved his request that afternoon. Once Carlton had access to Delilah's private content, we believe he made screenshots of her post, including the post that contained the therapy art that Delilah created to not only help her heal from Sarah's narcissistic abuse, but also to prevent her from repeating the same pattern that led to her reinstating their friendship after it ended the first time. Creating therapy art inspired by various photos that included, but were not limited to, photos of Sarah, enabled Delilah to recognize and confront the monster in her mind that Sarah had become. The monster that tormented her, terrorized her, and filled her with fear, but maintained control over her through constant manipulation. The monster that others around her could not or would not see. Delilah's therapy art was a very personal expression that she shared in her safe space, free from Sarah's prying eyes. Things continued to go well for Delilah, and she received blessing after blessing. In October, she hosted her podcast with her mom and took another glorious vacation to California with Eric and her son. In November, Hush Money became an Amazon bestseller and was now #1 on Goodreads Listopia in 6 categories, including #1 in Best Black Female Protagonist, #1 in Best Contemporary Fiction, #1 in Mixed Race Representation, #1 in Books to Build Up Your Social Justice Awareness on Racism, and was #1 in Picks for the Interracial Justice Book Club, and was still #1 in Best Eye-Opening African American Women's Fiction. And best of all, Delilah, her mom, and her sister were going to be featured in Forbes magazine. And as Carlton continued to add value to Delilah's Blessed Alchemy group and their friendship grew, Delilah believed the worst was now behind her and the best was yet to come. In a message to Delilah on November 15, 2021, Carlton shared the trauma that he suffered during his friendship with Sarah as he tried to get Delilah to become his paying client. Yeah, I just feel kind of stupid believing that everyone has good intentions and they act as good people because they are supposed to. That's not always true and hurts. It pisses me off. It makes me cry. And then it makes us cold. That's what I want to avoid for everyone. No growing cold. Let's all heal first, you know? But it's different for everyone. The chance to heal is not immune to any human. I'm going to tell Sarah that you and I are deciding to help you heal. Deal? When Delilah read his words, she felt sick and responded with multiple sad faces. I did not realize you and Sarah were so close. Then she gave him a brief, rattled explanation before deleting him from her group and blocking him, because she knew that Sarah had used him to infiltrate her private group to get information for her. The next day, she received a call from a man who identified himself as a police officer with the Colorado Springs Police Department, who informed her that Sarah had reported her for stalking and harassment. And after Delilah requested proof that she was speaking with a police officer and not one of Sarah's friends, he texted her this photo that included his call number. Then he informed Delilah that he instructed Sarah to obtain a temporary restraining order from the judge and warned Delilah that if she continued to harass Sarah, she could be arrested. Delilah began crying hysterically to no avail as she tried to explain that she didn't do anything to Sarah, but he warned her again to stop before ending the call. Even though Sarah was doing her best to destroy Delilah, God continued to bless her. In December, Delilah, her mom, and her sister were featured in Forbes in the headline entitled, How One Woman Turned Her Traumatic Workplace Experience into an International Bestseller. Additionally, Delilah won the Golden Ticket People's Choice Award for her artwork and became an award-winning artist in addition to an award-winning author. And best of all, their book, Hush Money, How One Woman Proved Systemic Racism in Her Workplace and Kept Her Job, became a #1 Amazon bestseller in Black and African American Christian fiction. And as Sarah continued trying to ruin Delilah's life, she also continued living the life she always wanted after sabotaging Delilah's opportunities and destroying her relationship with her family. Sarah and her fiancé opened for Wu-Tang Clan and performed in front of thousands of people. And She was now volunteering at the Chinook Center, the exact place Delilah loved to volunteer at and was volunteering at before Sarah convinced her family and Sean Walls that Delilah was stalking her.
Yes, they're all here. So guess what? We got about 20 kids. We are full. 8 of them were not able to come today, but was here on Friday. Shout out to Sarah Nelson for dropping the kids off and having to go to work. But got the multicultural effect this year, y'all.
In addition to being selected to perform at the Ying Yang Twins after party. But even with all that, Sarah still wanted revenge. On January 13th, 2022, while Delilah was hosting a paint me and Reiki party, Sarah sent 2 of her friends to humiliate Delilah in front of her participants and serve her with a temporary restraining order that was approved by the judge after he read the fictitious statements and lies Sarah put in the motion for civil protection order that she filed with the court to deceive the judge into believing that Delilah was a threat and that she and her children were in imminent danger. In Section 1, Sarah stated that she was seeking a civil protection order because she was being stalked, threatened, and subjected to another situation by Delilah. But, as you now know, based on the evidence we've uncovered, it wasn't Delilah who was stalking, threatening, or doing anything to Sarah. That it was Sarah who wanted revenge after Delilah ended their friendship on December 29th, 2020, and began plotting to frame Delilah for stalking 29 days later on January 27th, 2021. And that it was Sarah who was guilty of stalking, threatening, and framing Delilah with the help of her friends who aided and abetted her, and that ultimately Sarah willfully, knowingly, and intentionally used fictitious information in Section 1 of this complaint, which is a crime in itself in the state of Colorado. In Section 2, Sarah stated that she knows Delilah because Delilah followed her music page, then asked to meet in person, making it sound like Delilah was some random stranger. Based on the evidence, you now know that Sarah lied. On the day that Sarah filed this document with the court, Sarah and Delilah were former best friends. You also know that during their friendship, Sarah used Delilah mercilessly for her money, car, gas, time, energy, and to get free childcare, and also allowed her fiancé to use Delilah as well. And when Delilah put boundaries in place, Sarah retaliated, using her friends as a weapon against Delilah to threaten and intimidate her. So, Sarah willfully, knowingly, and intentionally lied in this section of the complaint she filed with the court, which is a crime in itself in the state of Colorado. In Section 3, Sarah stated that her son and daughter needed to be protected from Delilah. Based on the evidence, you now know that Sarah lied in this section as well. Sarah constantly asked Delilah to provide free childcare for her daughter, and on some occasions, even her son, and expected Delilah to put her daughter's needs, like giving her a bath when she got off work, before her own son's needs. And when Delilah refused, she used her friends to threaten and intimidate her. She even manipulated Delilah into asking her mom to watch Sarah's kids so that she could use Delilah further by expecting her to go to her events and be her cameraman and film her performances. So, as you can see, and as the evidence points out, This is another lie in a long, sad history of lies that Sarah made. And these lies were made knowingly, intentionally, and willfully, which, as I've already stated, is a crime in itself in the state of Colorado. In Section 4A, Sarah stated that she has proof of stalking and harassment for the last year and to please protect her. She stated that the most recent incident that causes her to ask for a civil protection order occurred on or about November 14, 2021 at about 11 a.m. in El Paso County, when Delilah Harris sent someone to harass and verbally attack her. She said this person sent her 3 messages on Delilah's behalf because she had blocked her from being able to contact her. She said this person then laugh reacted to over 30 public posts of hers, and that Delilah continued to make posts about her with false claims and derogatory comments, even though she remained silent. Finally, she stated that on June 8, 2021, she asked her to stop showing up to her workplace and to please leave her alone. She said she kept showing up anyway and trying to reach her. So let's break this down. Sarah said that she has proof of stalking and harassment for the last year. She filed this motion for civil protection order with the court on December 6, 2021, which means that she would have proof of stalking starting from the date December 6, 2020. Now, as you may recall, Sarah and Delilah were still best friends on December 6, 2020. Their friendship didn't end until December 29, 2020, when Delilah ended it because Sarah took her anger out on Delilah after Delilah's other best friend, Jasmine, told Sarah that she was toxic and did not want to be her friend. On January 27, 2021, which was 29 days later, Sarah started plotting to frame Delilah for stalking. This was premeditated. And through the entire 2021 year, Sarah cyber-stalked Delilah's Facebook, reached out to people that Delilah reached out to, sabotaged singing opportunities with her cousin, DeAndre, and forced people to delete Delilah as a friend on Facebook to damage Delilah's mental health. And on June 8, 2021, she created fabricated evidence with her friend Prissy Missy before executing the stalking hoax that she began planning back in January. And she used her false claims that Delilah was stalking her to kill Delilah's relationships, steal her singing opportunities, force Delilah out of volunteering at the Chinook Center, and used another friend by the name of Cruz Carlton to infiltrate the private Facebook group Delilah created in an attempt to get away from Sarah and her prying eyes. Based on the evidence, you now know that it was not Delilah who was stalking Sarah, but that it was Sarah stalking Delilah, and that she lied knowingly, willfully, and intentionally in this section of the complaint, which is a crime in itself. In Section 4B, Sarah stated that the most serious incident that caused her to ask for a civil protection order occurred on or about October 2, 2021 at about 10 a.m. in El Paso County. She said that Delilah showing up to her place of work, causing issues as harmful to her livelihood, making outrageous claims, posting them, and tagging their music pages and coworkers prevents them from being able to be booked again. She stated that she is affecting her livelihood because she cyberstalks her every day and steals personal images of her and her children, and stated that she should not be able to have pictures of her children and herself. So let's break this down. Sarah stated that the most serious incident that caused her to ask for a civil protection order occurred on or about October 2, 2021 at 10 a.m., indicating that Delilah showed up to her place of work, causing issues which was harmful to her livelihood and making outrageous claims. Now, as you may recall, in April 2021, Delilah moved from Colorado Springs to Aurora to get away from Sarah and be closer to Eric. Now, on October 2nd, 2021, at 9:57 a.m., Delilah made a post on Facebook that said, "Off to celebrate my man's promotion." The picture was taken in Delilah's bedroom in Aurora. This proves that Delilah was nowhere near Colorado Springs at the time Sarah indicated, and proves that this is yet another lie told by Sarah. Now, one thing that Delilah's mom knows is that every time a person uses their cell phone to make a call, send a text message, or send messages on Messenger, the data pings off of the nearest cell phone tower, which helps law enforcement determine if the person in question is in the area in question. Therefore, Delilah's mom encourages law enforcement to not only subpoena the cell phone tower records of Delilah to confirm that she was in fact in Aurora at the time that Sarah indicated, but also to subpoena Sarah's cell phone tower records, because she has a suspicion that Sarah wasn't even in the location that she said she was on October 2nd, 2021 at 10 a.m. Sarah also mentioned that Delilah stole personal images of her and her children, and that she should not be able to have pictures of them. Based on the evidence, you now know that during their friendship, Delilah was big on taking pictures and videos to commemorate the moments. As a result, the majority of pictures in Delilah's possession were either taken by her, given to her during their friendship, or posted publicly on social media for everyone to access. And once again, Sarah knowingly, willfully, and intentionally lied in this section of the complaint. In section 4C, Sarah stated that Delilah stole an image of my daughter, 8 years old, and I, and drew the same image but of us covered in blood. Then she stole another image of me and redrew it with me covered in blood with my head cut off. Since then, she has drawn 4 more images of my man and I cut up and bloody, and it is incredibly disturbing and completely unsettling. She should not be allowed to cyberstalk me, steal my images, and recreate them into us cut up and harmed, and publicly post them. Now, as a reminder, in December 2021, Delilah won the Golden Ticket People's Choice Award in the Creatives category and became an award-winning artist. One of the reasons she won this award is because of her remarkable talent for drawing intricately detailed images that bear an astonishing resemblance to the pictures she used as a reference. As evidenced by the drawings Delilah created for these satisfied customers who made each Facebook post, Delilah's skills as an artist extend beyond merely replicating each image. Each of her drawings is a testament to her meticulous attention to detail, enabling her to capture even the most subtle nuances, from the hues of hair color to the contours of eye shapes, to the delicate variations of eyelash lengths, skin tones, hairstyle, and jewelry. Delilah leaves no stone unturned when drawing to ensure accuracy. So it goes without saying that if Delilah really wanted to draw a picture that would be easily recognized as Sarah, she has the skills and creativity to do so. Now, as you may recall, Delilah did not post her therapy art publicly. She posted it in her Blessed Alchemy private group, her safe space free from Sarah's prying eyes. It was only after Sarah's friend joined Delilah's group that Sarah gained access to her therapy art. As a reminder, Delilah created her therapy art to not only help her heal from Sarah's narcissistic abuse, but also to recognize and confront the monster in her mind that Sarah had become, the monster that tormented her, terrorized her, and filled her with fear. After Sarah obtained Delilah's therapy art, containing her unique signature that identified her as the artist, she gave it to the Strictly Stalking podcast, who created marketing collateral from it and then publicized it.
There are pictures of me and my fiance, just in general. She had started drawing pictures of places I was at with my fiance, pictures of me and my daughter, pictures of me and my fiance, just in general, but us cut up and harmed in some way. There's always blood covered in all the pictures.
Now, Sarah's daughter was never drawn in this therapy art piece, as Sarah would like for you to believe. She actually told a bold-faced lie, and this is easily proven by the marketing promo the Strictly podcast created from the drawings Sarah gave them. If Delilah had drawn Sarah's daughter, the photo used in the marketing promo would include her daughter in the drawing, just as they have included Sarah's daughter sitting next to Sarah with her face blurred. So this was yet another lie, knowingly, willfully, and intentionally told by Sarah to guarantee that the judge would grant her request for a temporary restraining order. Now that we have that out of the way, let's do a side-by-side comparison. The drawing Delilah created on top matches the picture she used to create the drawing perfectly. But the only thing the drawing on the bottom matches to Sarah's picture is the pose. That's it. The hairstyle is different, the hair color is different, the skin color is different, the clothing colors are different. Sarah is wearing glasses on top of her head in her pic, but there are no glasses in the drawing on the head on the left. Therefore, Sarah cannot conclude that the drawing Delilah created is of her. And again, Sarah lied about her daughter being included in Delilah's drawing to make Delilah sound more dangerous and increase her chances of the judge approving her request for a temporary restraining order, and it worked. Again, in the bottom picture, the only thing that matches is the pose. The dress color is different. The dress length in the back is different. The drawing shows water pouring from a pipe in the background. And most importantly, the head in the drawing doesn't look anything like Sarah's head. So once again, Sarah cannot conclude that this drawing is of her. Once again, the only thing that matches is the pose. The dresses don't match. The woman in the drawing isn't wearing a jean jacket. Her hair is not pulled to the front, and she's not wearing glasses. The man in the drawing has an afro and is looking at the woman instead of looking forward at the camera. And the man's clothing doesn't match. Therefore, it is impossible for Sarah to conclude that this picture is of her and her fiancé. Once again, the only thing that matches is the pose. The clothing doesn't match the man or the woman. The hairstyles are different for the women. The woman in the drawing is flat-chested and doesn't have a stomach tattoo exposed. Therefore, Sarah cannot conclude that this is a drawing of her and her fiancé. As you can see, Sarah lied in every section of the motion for civil protection order that she filed with the court and successfully fooled the judge into believing that Delilah was a threat to her and her children. As you can see, Sarah lied in every section of the motion for civil protection order that she filed with the court and successfully fooled the judge into believing that Delilah was a threat to her and her children. And after postponing the hearing for a permanent restraining order multiple times because she was unprepared, Sarah simply did not show up for the final hearing date because she had already destroyed Delilah's reputation, business, relationship, and opportunities, and catapulted herself from rags to riches as a result. And the judge dismissed the case with prejudice so that Sarah could not file another motion for civil protection order against Delilah using the same information. But again, the damage to Delilah was already done. She had suffered in every way possible. And Sarah was living the dream on Delilah's back and left Delilah completely traumatized. Now, let's turn our attention back to Carly Russell, the Black woman in Alabama who executed a kidnapping hoax.
We're following breaking news this hour on a story we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. The Alabama woman who admitted to lying about being kidnapped is now facing criminal charges. The announcement made by police in Alabama just moments ago. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins us now, as well as NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos joining us on set once again. Priscilla, let's start with you. All of this just broke minutes ago. Tell us, what do we know right now?
Yeah, so police announced that they did arrest Carly Russell and process her within the last hour, and she has since been released, but she is now charged with 2 misdemeanors, so false reporting to law enforcement and falsely reporting an incident. And so now police are charging her for that, and there are consequences for that. And so these 2 misdemeanors carry up to a year in jail and potentially $6,000 in fines.
As you may recall, Carly Russell was arrested and charged with 2 misdemeanors within 2 weeks from the time she called the police and reported that she had been kidnapped. Now, let's take a moment to break this down. On July 13th, 2023, Carly Russell, a Black woman in Alabama, called 911 and reported a toddler crawling along the highway. She disappeared after making this call. On July 15th, 2 days later, she returned home and reported to police that she had been kidnapped by a white man when she stopped to check on the child, and that she was transferred to a truck and ultimately an 18-wheeler, had photographs of her taken naked, and then she ultimately escaped. But during the interview with police, they informed her that before she disappeared, she had Googled the movie Taken, a movie about a young woman being kidnapped, and information on Amber Alerts, which meant that they did some level of investigating to validate her story. And over the week that followed later, they continued to do investigative work that caused her story to continue to unravel, and she admitted that she had faked her kidnapping. On July 28th, she was arrested and charged with 2 Class A misdemeanors, the highest you can get for false reporting to law enforcement that she was kidnapped and false reporting an incident to law enforcement that she knew wasn't true. As of today, police still do not know what her motive was for faking her kidnapping. Now let's review what we know about Sarah. On November 11th, 2020, Sarah and others executed a fundraising hoax and defrauded donors. On January 27th, 2021, 29 days after Delilah ended her friendship with Sarah, Sarah began plotting to frame Delilah as her stalker. On June 8th, 2021, Sarah executed her stalking hoax. On November 16th, 2021, Sarah contacted the Colorado Springs Police Department and made a false report that she was being stalked and harassed by Delilah. But unlike the police department in Alabama, It appears that the Colorado Springs Police Department did not investigate Sarah's claims that she was being stalked and harassed by Delilah. And we believe that if they did, they would have discovered immediately that there were falsehoods being told, and they could have prevented the suffering and damage that Sarah continued to cause to Delilah. On December 6, 2021, Sarah filed a verified motion for civil protection order using completely fictitious information in every section of the complaint that she filed with the district courts and the county courts of El Paso County. We've determined that Sarah's motive for executing the fundraising hoax was financial need, and the motive for executing the stalking hoax was revenge on Delilah for ending their friendship and ending the So after Sarah completely destroyed Delilah's life in every possible way, she just didn't show up for the court hearing because she had accomplished everything she wanted. She was actually now the face of Juneteenth. So year after year, she was being paraded in front of famous celebrities, Fabulous, Donnell Jones, Adina Howard, Wu-Tang Clan, Onyx. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And she was living this fantasy life on Delilah's back. So there was really no need for her to try to go to court because she didn't have any evidence. However, we created our docuseries and we started putting it out there. And many people in Colorado Springs started watching our docuseries and going back to Sarah and saying, Sarah, so you said you were being stalked, and where's your evidence? How come you didn't show up at the court? You know, what evidence exactly do you have to prove that, you know, Delilah was stalking you? And it started putting Sarah on guard because people from all directions who had watched our docuseries were now questioning her and asking her to show her evidence. So because she didn't have any evidence, she decided to try to fool everybody, and it was kind of successful, I would say. So let me just show you what she did.
For joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Tiffany Gomez was on a flight that was supposed to leave Dallas for Orlando back on July 2nd, but those plans changed after she had what seemed to be a meltdown on the plane.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now that there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to.
Now, we believe that this woman's meltdown on the plane caught Sarah's attention for 3 reasons. 1, massive amounts of people in Colorado Springs had watched our docuseries and discovered that Sarah had been lying to them about Delilah stalking her the entire time. 2, the woman's voice sounded similar to Delilah's voice, and the words she spoke on the plane made her sound completely unstable and unhinged. And 3, Sarah bragged and boasted about the mountain of evidence she claimed she had to prove that Delilah was stalking her, but had not provided a single piece of solid proof backing up her claims. In fact, her evidence to the judge during the hearing for the permanent restraining order that she requested, Sarah simply didn't show up for the hearing, and the judge not only dismissed the case, but dismissed the case with prejudice, preventing Sarah from ever obtaining another restraining order against Delilah using the same fictitious information that she used the first time. In a video Sarah posted on TikTok on January 5th, 2023, this is what she said.
So I'm waiting to tell you guys this entire thing later on, but in honor of National Stalking Awareness Month, because I am a stalking advocate as well as a domestic violence advocate, I am going to be sharing my story publicly outside of the podcasts that I've already set things up with. I'll also be releasing my full video with the Strictly Stalking podcast this month as well, also in honor of the National Stalking Awareness Month. I'm going to be spreading as much awareness about this as possible, because when it comes to stalking and cyber stalking, it can be difficult getting justice or getting these people to ever leave you alone, because you can't ever get things to stick legally. Anyone who has experienced this personally or is still experiencing this video is definitely for you. And anyone just interested in my story, get ready, because I am about to share it whether or not you're ready for it. You need to be very, very cautious and careful. I mean, in general, when it comes to who you let in your secret space or just within your energy field, right? And who you give your energy to. But outside of that, you need to be fucking careful with who you befriend, who you're touching, and I mean, who you're friending on social media, any type of social media. People can come off very kind, but they have a fucking motive, all right? And just because you're the type of person that chooses and just naturally sees the best in everybody doesn't mean that bad fucking people aren't out there, and crazy psychotic motherfuckers aren't out there that just want to tear you down because you're nothing like them and you're a fucking big ball of light. I've been stalked and cyber stalked for nearly 3 years. And then when we dug deeper, because I have a whole fucking team on this shit, when we dug deeper, and then outsiders who had seen my post about it on my friends list started reaching in and digging as well. We found fake accounts and then found out that this person was actually stalking me all the way back in Texas before I moved to Colorado. So yes, you heard that right. I am still being stalked by this fucking psycho. And no, it's not like an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or anything like that. There was no romantic relationship involved. Legit, a stalker that followed my music, followed me from 2 different fucking states. This is fucking crazy. And your girl has the receipts to prove it, and I fucking promise you're not ready for it. She cyber stalks me every single day and uses narcissistic tactics that I'm well aware of, so they don't work. But narcissistic tactics in order to try to manipulate me or my emotions, which I've made videos on NPD in case you wanted to know about that or want to know how to navigate that bullshit. I guess I have the court documents, screenshots, screen recordings, proving everything. So stay tuned for the next video, and we're going to get down into all the deep details. So it will more than likely be like a 6-part fucking video, because I'm going to share with you guys my full video on the Strictly Stalking podcast in California. So buckle up, buttercup, because it's going to be a lot. But I feel like it is not only going to spread awareness, but help other people to find their voice and share their story. And I think it's really important for you to do that. So I'm hoping that I can help you guys do that. So save this video for later, or follow me to be updated on the story. Peace. So I'm waiting to tell you guys this.
Now, By the time this woman had her meltdown on the plane on July 2nd, 2023, Sarah's world appeared to unravel as more and more people watched our docuseries and discovered that Sarah was not only a liar, but also a criminal who broke the law when she created the felony-level stalking hoax and framed Delilah, an innocent Black woman, as her stalker. And as you can imagine, she was desperate to regain control. So, because she had no real evidence, she created a video similar to the marketing video created by the Strictly Stalking podcast after she interviewed with them and gave them pictures of Delilah's therapy art, claiming that Delilah drew pictures of her 8-year-old daughter, and her fiance cut up, bloody, and harmed in some way.
Her pictures of me and my fiance, just in general. She had started drawing pictures of places I was at with my fiance, pictures of me and my daughter, pictures of me and my fiance, just in general, but us cut up and harmed in some way. There's always blood covered in all the pictures.
As a reminder, in December 2021, Delilah won. So here, Sarah took those pictures that she knew was part of Delilah's therapy art to actually heal from her narcissistic abuse. And because she didn't have any proof, she added the woman's voice from the plane, the woman that was having the meltdown, to the video and then passed it off as if it was Delilah having this psychotic meltdown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward in the video and I'm going to go to that part so that you can see exactly what she did.
For joining us here.
Oops, let's see.
For joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Tiffany Gomez was on a flight that was supposed to leave Dallas for Orlando back on July 2nd, but those plans changed after she had what seemed to be a meltdown on the plane.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that right there is not real.
Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do the side by side.
For joining us here on Law.
Hold on.
For joining us here on Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy. For joining us here on Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Levy. Tiffany Gomez was.
I'm going to try to get to the side by side section here to show you how she took the voice and put it embedded inside of this video here. So bear with me. Let me see if I can do it right on the presentation for you, because it's just important for you to see how she manipulated this whole situation. Okay, here we go. On top of her head in her pic, but there are no glasses in the drawing on the head. In the bottoms isn't pop, therefore on the plane. Then we'll show you the video Sarah created using this woman's voice 10 days later on July 12th, 2023, and posted on TikTok to fool everyone into believing that it was Delilah who was having a psychotic meltdown, to support her claims that Lila was her stalker a year and a half after the judge dismissed Sarah's request for a permanent restraining order. The title of Sarah's video is called "Me Explaining to People Why My Stalker is a Psycho."
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
So, as you can see, Sarah put my daughter Delilah through pure hell. Delilah lost her business because she was an award-winning artist and she was doing commissioned artwork, and people were paying her for her art. But when Sarah took her art and put her out there as being this psychotic stalker, no one would buy artwork from Delilah anymore. And she completely lost her business. Her reputation was completely destroyed in our hometown, and she literally lost everything, including the family that she had found, her friends, her business, her income. And the reason I am fighting so hard for my daughter is because on the day that Delilah planned to commit suicide, I intervened. And so I'm not going to rest until Sarah is held accountable for what she did to my daughter. But no one is listening to me, and I need help. I cannot afford to get an attorney to help my daughter. Meanwhile, when Black people commit these kind of hoaxes, swift action is taken. You saw how fast Carly Russell was arrested, investigated, charged. Sarah needs to have the same accountability, but no one is listening to me. And that's why I've taken it to the public. So I'm trying to get a criminal attorney, but I have to put a retainer down. I cannot afford to do this by myself. So I'm asking for help. I'm going to bring my daughter Delilah on. She has created a GoFundMe. Thomas Hughes, you donated $500, and I cannot thank you enough for helping us fight this battle. Latrice Torres donated $200. Dr. Cletus Alpong donated $200. Ileana Ramirez donated $150. Some people donated 10, some people donated 20, some people donated 30, some people donated 50. Even if you only have $1 that you are able to donate to help us, that gets us one step closer to getting justice for Delilah and getting accountability for Sarah. So if you've been moved by anything today, please consider going to Delilah's GoFundMe. I've put the link in the chat and helping us. We can't do this alone. And oftentimes when harm comes to Black people, you know, the most recent incident that I'm thinking of is the Black Michael Jackson impersonator in the subway who was having a mental crisis, and this white man killed him right there in the subway. People from all over within a matter of days raised $2 million so that he could defend himself against the charges that he murdered this Black man. I'm not asking for that. I just need help getting a retainer so we can get a criminal attorney to start trying to bring some accountability to Sarah. So please help us, because it doesn't seem like too many people are listening or even care. So at this point, I'm going to bring Delilah on. Hopefully your mic is good, but Lila, can we hear you, honey? Okay, I'm going to go on mute because I hear an echo, and I'm just going to let you talk to everyone. If you have any questions that you would like to pose to Delilah, I am going to monitor the chat. And if not, Delilah, if you can just share what this has been like for you.
Yeah. So I'll try to look at the questions too. It's hard to, I'm gonna tear my glasses because I know when I tear it's gonna make it get all blurry, but it's hard to watch it all again because I get to relive it again. But like even in the beginning, just remembering when I connected with so many people, and like for me, I've had trauma my entire life. If you've been following me, if you're connected to me, then you've seen me slowly try to put out pieces of my testimony. But my dad was abusive when I was a child. I've been sexually abused by my father, and then violently abused because I reacted badly as a child to that. Unlike my sister, because we were very different. And so because of how I reacted, my dad at the age of 4 threw me against the wall and then punched me in the stomach and tried to choke me and tried to kill me. I have memories of him lifting me by the shirt and my neck and me choking and my legs being above the ground and me desperately just wanting to touch the ground to breathe and being locked in a cellar. Those are the memories I have.
Lila, they're having trouble hearing you, sweetheart.
Thank you. I'll
Can you
try to
speak
explain.
louder?
It's harder. I don't know if it'll work, but I have a lot of horrible, horrible, horrible memories of my father when I was a baby trying to kill me, of me being sexually abused and then being basically rejected by my reaction. So as a child, I learned, can you hear me okay now, Mom? Is everybody okay? I learned that my reaction is wrong. That is how I grew into this world, immediately feeling that I am wrong because he was a horrible man, but he was my father, and I'm rejected immediately. And that is the heart I had as a child. And then from there, it just kept getting worse. He was abusing my mom too. She's been through all of this as well. But he took me and my sister from her and manipulated using the system so she couldn't get us, and then kicked me out at age 8 and kept my sister so that my mom then had to try to move forward in life with me after he did all of that, her not having me, and then try to rebuild her life, like all of that suffering. But for me inside, all I kept feeling is I'm wrong. I'm not wanted. I don't belong. And that is the heart I had as a child. And then I went to school and I was bullied mercilessly. I had people leaving the bus stop with knives, trying to cut me as I go home. I had people putting glue in my hair. I had people stealing my shoe, so I would not have shoes to walk home. From there, I got abused at church. From there, I met an ex-husband who was abusive and just like my dad, and it was all I knew. So it was what I thought I deserved. I had my son, and I started fighting because I didn't want my son to have my life. So I fought to get this divorce. That's when I met Sarah. In that time, I'm so broken. I'm financially struggling. I'm trying to work and afford my life for my son, but all I've known is pain. All I've known is pain from that point. And so for me to get to this place where I have a friendship and I'm manipulated through it all, she's taking everything from me, but I don't know how to be anybody else except somebody that gives, because that seemed like the only way I'm valuable. When you grow like this and that is your heart, you do not feel valuable. So I didn't know what to do, and she was love bombing me, so I felt like I mattered. That is all I knew. I'm an empath. I feel people's emotions. I hate hurting people. I hate feeling like I've disappointed somebody because I feel what they're feeling. So if they hate me, I feel that hate. And so I tried so hard to please her, but I couldn't. I was drained. I had nothing. And I can't sacrifice my son for her. That was the fighter in me, was for my son. And so when we ended our friendship, because I put boundaries, there was no way I would have known that I would have to endure even more pain. I thought I was done. I thought I finally found my voice and that was going to be who I was. And she broke me. Because I had a voice, she went everywhere I was. And she took everything. I struggled. I almost got evicted. I lost my job. I was experiencing workplace racism at the time. I started having mental crisis, severe depression, panic attacks. She was sending people to wait for me outside of my job, and my job was putting me through hell. They didn't give me a team. I was a community director. I was alone. I had to be security, everything at my job. So she was sending people that would stare at me outside my office. Men, right next to my car. I couldn't leave work. I'd stay there till 9 p.m. waiting for them to leave. And as this is happening, nobody's believing me because they believe her. So she's twisting this story. I'm suffering so much, and she's twisting it to make it seem that I'm the one imposing all of this. And everybody believed her. So then I believed her. Because how is it that nobody hears me? Nobody cares about me. I must not matter. That is where my brain finally got. It was like a moment of clicking, like this makes sense. My life has been like this, and it makes sense now. It makes sense that I need to die. I do not matter. Because if I did, I wouldn't be going through this. But I didn't get out of it. Nobody helped. Even after putting all of this work for the docuseries. The only reason my town even listened is because Sarah kept sending people to get me to talk about her so that she could use it as evidence. And one person slipped up and said that Sarah had claimed that One Body Int was embezzling. And so I was so mad and so hurt and so broken and so rageful and so out of care for myself. I didn't care what happened to me anymore. I lost that love for myself, and I lost love for everybody. I just was in such a dark, dark place that I called a auditor for Colorado Springs, and I told them to investigate my cousin's nonprofit. I was so mad at them, and she had given me something to use. And so I started a whole new battle against my own family. I no longer saw my battle with Sarah. I just saw me as if I was covered in fire, and it was just going everywhere now. I don't have a target anymore. I'm just on fire. I have nothing. And they figured out they were trying to sue me for slander. And I sent them the audio of the person who claimed it was Sarah who started it. And that is when they watched the docuseries. Not because they cared about me, because they were pissed that they were getting audited. They were pissed that somehow this measly, no matter person had caused them issue. And that's how they figured out the truth. And they cut her off, but they cut me off too. And I am still, to this day, I have none of anything that I had before. I have no confidence in myself. I tried doing a LinkedIn project. I'm still trying to paint, but it's painful. Why would I want to give out anything anymore when I don't matter? And I've received so much love from LinkedIn. I'm so thankful that you guys have given to me and that you have heard my story and you've shown me that I matter, and I'm receiving it, and I'm slowly doing the work to get back to a place where my heart doesn't hurt anymore, and that I can try to see that maybe this wasn't meant to be. It's just what happened. Maybe this is just what happened. It's not fair, but it is what it is. And it hasn't been fair my entire life, but that doesn't mean that the rest of my life doesn't have meaning. I have to hold on to that, not just for me, but for my son, but for my mom, because she saw me go through all of this, and she saw who I had been. Even after all of the abuse, after divorcing my ex-husband, I still had love. She saw that snuffed out, and she saw me become somebody that just, I was like a shell. I had no one, nothing inside that was gonna help me to be that little girl that she remembered. I need help. Everything you guys have given already is helping so much, because I am able to try to feel like I believe. I am trying to go back to bringing my business up again. I am trying to get a lawyer or somebody to at least acknowledge this story. This story is no different than the many others that get picked up, and yet I am getting silenced. And I have to wonder if it's a spiritual battle, if it's Satan just saying, I don't want anything to pick this up because you'll feel strong again. But if you guys can share my story, if you can give anything you have to help us fight, then I can show others that their story can matter too. I'm not the only one that goes through this. And with Sarah, there have been many victims. I am just the only one that fought. because I was tired of this happening so many times in my life. When I fought her, I was fighting my father. I was fighting the church. I was fighting the bosses that made me get on my knees and scrub out an oven in front of them for hours. I'm a community director, and you've made me a housekeeper for your personal pleasure. Putting me in a freaking apartment alone with him and scrubbing out an oven with one razor blade for hours. Those are the things I had to do for my job to keep my income that Sarah took from me money from, not realizing I'm breaking my back to make it. She could care less. She wanted me to die, and I'm not dead, and I'm not gonna die, but I need your help. So please give, please share, please show me that you hear my story. And like the many other Black people who have been put in these positions and did die, and that's when their story is shared, share mine before I get there. I don't want to be dead to matter. I matter right now. I didn't deserve what happened to me at all. I stopped singing. I stopped doing music. I stopped painting. I stopped dancing. I stopped everything because there was no light in me anymore. And I'm trying to bring it back, but I need your help. So please hear my story and let it resonate. If this was your daughter, would you do anything to help her? That's what my mom's doing. If this was your child and you saw them ready to take pills to be done, would you stop everything? No matter what people said, I've had so many people tell us we're stupid for this, tell us we're obsessive for this. They don't understand. I'm not obsessed. I'm trying to show that I matter. I care about myself enough to not die. I stopped in that moment because my mom told me I have to fight, because she's had to fight her whole life. And that's what we do. We fight. We do not let people do this to us. And even though I lost thousands. I lost everything. I don't volunteer anymore. I don't see the point. I gave you guys service. I showed up for you, and you threw me away like I was trash. You didn't even question.
Thank you, baby. Thank you for sharing your story, honey. So, thanks again, guys, for staying and watching the conclusion of what we were able to put together. Thank you for being there for us. For those of you who have already donated, thank you for donating to try to help us. And we're just going to keep fighting. We're going to keep putting this out there, and hopefully someone, an attorney, a news reporter, a journalist, someone will take interest in this story, because it shouldn't be this way. And so Sarah is still causing my daughter harm. Someone just asked a very powerful question. I can't see your name. It just says LinkedIn user, but it says, where the hell is Sarah now? Like, where is she? I'm so upset. And yes, Delilah, it is spiritual. That is an excellent question. So Sarah is still doing damage to Delilah as of today. The video that the Strictly Stalking podcast put out, we want to hold them accountable too, because they amplified Sarah's lies and allowed her to spread these horrific lies about Delilah without vetting the story and making sure that what they were putting out was true. So we're hoping to get a criminal attorney that can hold the Strictly Stalking podcast accountable, hold the Colorado Springs Police Department accountable, hold anybody who allowed Sarah to destroy my daughter the way that she did, because right now, Sarah is still harming Delilah as of today. She's taken the videos that the Strictly Stalking podcast put out containing Delilah's therapy art, and she's given it to her minions, who are now all sharing it on social media, trying to get momentum as Sarah still claims that Delilah is stalking her. So she has no motivation to stop because no one is stopping her. I cannot afford we need a criminal attorney The girl is broke, so getting her for defamation is not going to result in any funding coming to Delilah because she's broke. If we can get a criminal attorney to hold her accountable for the crime of false reporting, just like they did Carly Russell, the Black woman, we may not get anything financial from Sarah on that, but at least we'll get her off of the street and stop her from harming further people that she has done this same thing to. She's got a long line of victims. Delilah's the only one that's ever fought back. So we want to stop her. We want to prevent her from using this kind of narcissistic abuse and manipulation on future people while also holding her accountable for what she did to Delilah. If it were reversed and if it were completely opposite, okay? If it was a Black woman doing all of this stuff to a white woman, she'd be under the jail right now. And so that's the reality. I mean, you've got two perfect examples. You've got the Black woman, Carly Russell, who created the kidnapping hoax, and you've got Sarah, who did not one, but two hoaxes. And we can't even get the Colorado Springs Police Department to look at our evidence. We can't get the El Paso County District Attorney to take an interest in looking at our evidence. No one cares. So I figure if we can get an attorney that specializes in criminal justice, that maybe there's something he knows that we don't know about how to get this front and center so that we can have our day in court. So thank you all so very, very much. Delilah's GoFundMe, if you want to donate, I have put the link in the chat. But if you want to go to GoFundMe and look up the story, we called it, "She Framed Me as Her Stalker and Ruined My Life." And it's by Delilah Harris. Anything that you can donate will help. There are some people in my immediate family, which is just heartbreaking, people in my immediate family that won't even offer 50 cents to try to help us, yet they sit on a mountain of money. And it's very disheartening. So when you can't rely on family, sometimes you can rely on the kindness of strangers. And so that's why we're bringing our story to you. And with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for extending the love to not only me, but to Delilah. And if we are able to move forward and start pursuing justice, we'll definitely come back and do another live event and keep you updated on our progress. So sending you love and kisses, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.